Hey, T.R. Reddy, how are you?
Fine, Dr. Reddy. Yeah.
So my screen was visible now when I projected that presentation.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think.
Okay. Okay.
మెయిల్ చేస్తాను సార్ డైరెక్ట్ లింక్ పాస్వర్డ్ ఉంది
8698 password. Double five two six. Double five two six. Verification.
అనవసరంగా మన ఈ సౌండ్ మనం మాట్లాడేది వినబడుతుంది
Yeah, right, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mallayadi garu.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hari, yeah, we are waiting for our registrar.
Yeah, no problem. So I have a meeting with Secretary Roads Ministry at 4, so I have to
Yeah,
leave
he told me.
around 3 o'clock. But otherwise, I'll sit in the car and take the call. That's not a problem.
Okay.
మీది మ్యూట్లో పెట్టుకోవాలి సార్, వాల్యూమ్ తక్కువ చేయాలి మీది, మీరు జీరో చేయాలి.
Dear aspirants, I am V. Amarinder Reddy, faculty in Civil Engineering Department, KU College of Engineering and Technology. On behalf of KUCET, I wish you a very happy Engineers Day. In remembrance of Sri Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya, the most outstanding engineer of all times, the Engineering Fraternity of India celebrates Engineers Day every year on 15th September. Sri Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya is known to be the greatest engineer of all times, who, with his vision and dedication in the field of engineering, made some exceptional contributions to India. Owing to his contribution, he was honored with the highest state award of India, the Bharat Ratna, in the year 1955. He was credited for the construction of a system that was beneficial for flood protection in Hyderabad and construction of Krishnaraja Sagara Dam, and he was responsible for bringing out effective irrigation techniques, especially in the Deccan region, and many more. On the occasion of Engineers Day, we, the Department of Civil Engineering, conducted online quiz and got tremendous response from the students of different colleges. On behalf of KU College of Engineering and Technology, I invite today's President, Professor P. Malla Reddy Garu, Principal, KU College of Engineering and Technology. Coordinator, Mr. Mahendra Garu, Assistant Professor of ECE, in charge Civil Engineering Branch. Dr. L.P. Rajkumar Garu, former Principal of KU CET. Guest of Honor, Professor T. Srinivasulu Garu, Dean, Faculty of Engineering and Technology and Principal, University College of Engineering and Technology for Women. And today's speakers, Dr. Harikishan Garu and Mr. T.R.C. Reddy Garu, and today's chief guest, Professor K. Purushottam Garu, Register, Kakatiya University, and dear faculty, students of KU College of Engineering. I once again welcome you all to this auspicious occasion of the Engineers Day. It's my pleasure to be a part of this celebration. I thank for giving this opportunity. Further, I would like to call our principal, Professor P. Mallareddy Garu, to continue the session.
Professor K. Purushottam Garu, Registrar Kakatiya University. Professor T. Srinivasulu Garu, Dean Faculty of Engineering and Technology. Dr. Arkishan K. Reddy and Dr. T.R.C. Reddy, today's technology speakers. Dr. L.P. Rajkumar, Head Department of Mathematics. Mr. Mahendra, in charge, Civil Engineering Branch. And colleagues and my dear students. Good afternoon, all. At the outset, I wish you all a happy Engineers Day. At the outset, I thank faculty in civil engineering for their initiative in the connection of Mokshagundam Vishveshwaraya's birthday. I also thank today's technology speakers, Dr. Arkishan K. Reddy and Mr. T.R.C. Reddy Garu, and Registrar Purushottam Sir and Professor T. Srinivasulu, Dean Faculty of Engineering, for sparing their valuable time. I don't want to recall alma maters of Sir Mokshagundam Vishveshwaraya. Some of his credits are mentioned by Mr. Amarendra. But there are many contributions of Mokshagundam Vishveshwaraya sir. Of those, I would like to mention few. He was a chief engineer for Krishnasagara Dam, located at Mandya, nearby Mysore. He was also chief engineer of flood protection system in Hyderabad. He was responsible for Mysore soap factory, Mysore sandalwood, State Bank of Mysore, and Mysore Iron and Steel, located in Bhadravati. He was also responsible for Bangalore Agriculture University. This year, 108th Indian Science Congress was held in Bangalore Agriculture University in the month of January. To his credits, or in the recognition of his credits, National Institute of Technology is established at Nagpur. Now I request Mahendra, in charge, Civil Engineering Branch, to introduce today's technology speakers. Mr. Mahendra.
Most respected Honorable Chief Guest, Professor K. Purushottam Garu, Registrar Kakatiya University. Guest of Honor, Professor T. Srinivasulu Garu, Dean Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Kakatiya University. Technology speakers, Arkishan K. Reddy, T.R.C. Reddy. My colleagues, faculty members, good afternoon, and I wish a happy Engineers Day to all of you. I am glad to introduce the profile about technology speakers, Arkishan K. Reddy. He completed his PhD in transportation engineering at IIT Kanpur in 2001. He worked with Professor Pardosh Chakravarti. He completed his post-graduation in transportation engineering at NIT Warangal in 1993. He completed his BTech in civil engineering at KITS Warangal in 1991. He has membership in various professional societies, life membership, IRC Transport Research Group, executive member, Transportation Research Group of India, executive member, Highway Operators Association of India, G1 committee member for developing Indian Roads Congress guidelines for operation and maintenance of highways. He is also a member of committee for identifying future areas of research in road sector. He published 7 publications in several reputed journals and conferences. Coming to his work experiences, he currently is CEO of Cube IOS and Transportation. CEO of Cube IOS Private Limited. Cube IOS is a foreign direct investment in India with rupees of 35,000 crore assets under management in India. And he is a promoter of 3 companies. VR Technic Consultant Private Limited. It is a leading consulting company in India. Berry Infra Private Limited, a technology provider in the field of transportation. And Novim, a company developing multi-level car parking project in Triple P at Hyderabad. Earlier, he worked with DS Constructions, Halcro Consulting India, Feedback Ventures, Scott Wilson India, and Consulting Engineering Services. Regular guest lectures in Indian Academy Highway Engineers. His areas of expertise are travel demand estimation for road projects, parking projects, public and private transportation systems, intercity railway corridors, etc. Now he is currently working for development of artificial intelligence, deep learning based permanent traffic counting station along with estimation of traffic flow parameters. He has contributed to development of scientific approach for origin destination travel demand matrix, estimation from link volume counts and marginal trip totals. Has worked fuzzy linear regression models for trip generation and route choice modeling under imprecise and vague information. This is about Harikishan K. Reddy Garu and one more technology speaker, T. Ramchandra Reddy. He completed his BTech Civil Engineering in 1983 from Sri Venkateswara University, Tirupati, and completed his post-graduation from JNTU in the specialization of structural engineering in 1986. He has 35 years of professional experience in planning and design, and also expertise in high structures such as river bridges, flyovers, rail over bridges, and bridge hydrology. Apart from industrial structures and international standards, he also developed various engineering softwares such as STADFRO, Procon. He worked in Malaysia, Kuwait, Dubai, and UK. He joined at VR Technic Private Limited as head of structures in 2017. And he has a member and chartered engineer of Institution of Engineers India. He is also a graduate member of Institution for Civil Engineers, UK. Thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation, sir.
I would like to mention one thing. Myself and Dr. Harikishan Reddy jointly published a paper in Journal of Transportation Engineering, American Society for Civil Engineers. Now I request Professor T. Srinivasulu, Dean Faculty of Engineering, to address the gathering.
Unmute.
So a warm welcome and good afternoon to respected Professor K. Purushottam Sir, Registrar of Kapati University, and Professor P. Malla Reddy, Principal KUCT and EC member, and Mr. Mahender, Coordinator, and Dr. L.P. Rajkumar, Head of the Mathematics Department. And today's speaker speakers, Dr. Hari Kishan Reddy and T.R. Reddy, and my dear faculty members and staff, and my dear students. Today, all we gathered here to celebrate Engineers Day in India. In India, this day is celebrated by engineering fraternity in 15th of September every year. At the outset, I would like to a happy Professional Engineers Day, proud of you all. And that day was selected because it is the birthday of the legendary engineer Sir Mokshagunda Vishwesvaraya. So you have seen that in the introduction itself, the contributions of Sir Mokshagunda Vishwesvaraya is very difficult to list out. An outstanding contribution. If you put the clean observation, a unique contributions are there. A unique and outstanding contributions are there. So which will motivate, which will inspire you to become a good engineer. So if you see that is the first engineer, the engineering community across India celebrates Engineers Day on 15th September every year as a tribute to the greatest Indian engineer, Bharat Ratna Mokshagunda Vishwesvaraya. He is the first Indian engineer. Sir Mokshagunda Vishwesvaraya, more commonly known as Sir MV, and was an Indian civil engineer and statesman and the 19th Diwan of Mysore, serving 1912 to 1919. So everything is a unique, something is special contribution, special, works. You can see that. At the same time, we can also recollect that we is the first woman engineer in the world. In 1870, Elizabeth Bragg is the first woman engineer in the world. In 1876, Elizabeth Bragg. And first Indian engineer is the Sir Mokshagunda Vishwesvaraya. And the first woman engineer in the world is Elizabeth. A degree in civil engineering from the University of California at Berkeley. According to the degrees, she never worked. And who is the first Indian woman engineer in India couldn't even receive basic education or think about having a career. So, Ayala Somaya Ajulu Lalita. Her name is Lalita, A. Lalita, at Madras, now Chennai. History by becoming the country's first ever woman engineer. Second is the woman engineer, the A. Lalita. So if you see that normally we are getting a lot of confused science and technology, engineering, what is the difference, and we are sometimes keen to know that a brief information as all, but it is engineering that changes the world. The engineer has been and is a maker of history. Scientists today the world as it is, engineers create the world that has never been. The way to succeed is to double your failure rate. So if you want to succeed, if you increase the failure rate, you are going to succeed. That's very important. And what is the great in the engineering? Why is so powerful branch, so powerful discipline? Engineers develop new technological solutions during the engineering design process. The responsibilities of engineers may include defining the problem, conducting, and going into the very big problem. We are entering never problems. I have seen so many, discussions in the campus, in industry, even in the R&Ds. They start discussing, they are getting into the very big problem and they never comes out. So you have to cut down the problem. You have to create the boundaries for the problem. Then only you can define the finite problem. Otherwise, it will be in the infinite loop. It never comes out. And recently we are discussing one project from that also similarly. We are getting into the infinity loop. Doing the research. That's very important word. And analyzing criteria. Analyze the criteria. Finding, analyzing solution, making decisions. That is very important. So you should not get into the infinity loops. of and a typical engineer have a lot of around the eight skills, and a problem solving skills you should have, and knowledge of the computer science and computer operations, industry skills also you should have, and very important pressure management. That is very important. All the scheduled works, you have to finish up the scheduled projects. So therefore you have to finish up that to meet the project schedules. You may be in the pressure. You should have very good pressure management and teamwork. You have to maintain the good teams also, and creativity and structure analysis and communication. All these are very important for that to become a successful engineer. And there is a one more is the, always we are looking why engineering. Engineering, what do you mean by engineering? So if you Google it, there are a lot of meaning. What is engineering? Around the normally a good engineer should have 8 characters. The 8 characters are engineer. Engineer nothing but eager. You should have eagerness. You should have art. You should always active. And non-stop learning. You should be a non-stop learner. You should not say that you should not get into saturation. So today I received a BTech degree. Tomorrow I don't want to open the book. No, don't do like that. So you should be a non-stop learner, and you should be genius. So always you are getting the confused. What is the intelligence? What is the genius? What is the innovation? Genius is nothing but mastermind. You should have a lot of mastermind ideas. So that you can come out from the infinity loops. You should be genius, and you should be intelligent. You should have a lot of the latest technology. That intelligence nothing but you should have a lot of alert and cleverness. So all these are very important for the good engineer to solve the problems, time-bound problems. And you should have the motivation for the nation building, and you should put continuous efforts you have to put. You should not say that today I have done it is over. No, you should do the continuous effort. Then only you can see the success, continuous success and excellence. And at the same time, you have to maintain the quality also. You should not compromise the quality. Something fake, you should not do it. Something about assuming something and concluding something else and getting into the problems. Don't do like that. So there should be a systematic approach, a systematic procedure you have to follow. And at the same time, you should not compromise with the quality. You should follow the standards also, and should have the rider also. Nothing but you should have that. You should not worry about the travel. You should not worry about the writing of the publications. All these things comes under engineering category. So all these things one should realize. Then only you can have the very good life. And moreover, if you see the present scenario, most of the engineers, the moment they complete the BTech, they quickly going for the searching for the job. But normally engineering is a certain object. You have to create the jobs. So rather than going to job seeker, get into the job creator. So there's entrepreneurship. So a lot of programs are available. Startups are there. Indian government is ready to fund for startups. And try to think about the startup. If you are getting into the startup, you are becoming the job creator. Then you can give the employment to the other disciplines also, non-engineering branches also. Therefore, what I am telling, always look into the a job creator rather than job seeker. At the same time, always try to be a broad-minded. Always don't get into the infinity loop and try to go for the finite loop and use your innovative ideas and intelligence, and you can use your geniusness and come out and find out the suitable solution for the time-bound problem. That is very important. And I wish good luck all of you, and all the best. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I request Professor Purushottam, sir, Registrar Kakatiya University, to address the gathering, please. Purushottam, sir.
Very good afternoon, Professor Malla Reddy, Principal, Kakatiya University Engineering College, and distinguished member of Executive Council, Professor Srinivasulu, Dean, Faculty of Engineering, Dr. Rajkumar, Head Department of Mathematics, and who was also former Principal of Engineering College, Dr. Harikrishna Reddy, and the other speakers of the day. Very good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, and all the participants, I can see about 62 virtual participants. Very pleasant afternoon to all of you, and I wish all of you a happy Engineers Day, being celebrated on the occasion of the birth anniversary of Bharat Ratna Sir, Dr. Mokshagundam Vishwesvaraya, the most illustrious son of the country. If we were to name most famous people that India has given birth to in the first generation, undoubtedly, Sir Mokshagundam Vishwesvaraya's name figures in the top 5 to 10 personalities. Because you all know that he was educated at a time when education itself was not so developed in the country. When he was doing research in the field of civil engineering, laboratories and workshops were not so much developed. Our teaching fraternity and our students have to take a leaf from his book, have to learn from him about how one can create one's own lab, how one can work with the least minimum resources. And Sir Vishwesvaraya is the best example of doing plenty of research with no laboratories at all or with minimum facilities. As a very famous proverb goes, where there is a will, there is a way. There can't be excuses that my laboratory is small, not equipped, my workshop is not equipped. All such are lame excuses for people who don't want to be achievers. On the other hand, Sir Vishwesvaraya became very, very illustrious in the field of civil engineering. I don't want to enumerate the success story and various achievements of Vishwesvaraya, sir, because you all know it. The most famous contributions being his contribution to Hyderabad city, his contribution to Karnataka state, and wherever he was called upon, he gave his precious piece of advice with regard to irrigation engineering, especially. And that's how Sir Vishwesvaraya has done yeoman's service to the country in laying a foundation of modern India. Because when India got independence, you all know that whatever infrastructure was created by British India, it was for their East India Company for transporting raw material from India to England and importing consumer products from the country. It was from this point of view that the British India created the resources, especially be it engineering education, be it providing, developing infrastructure. It was from their point of view. But after getting independence, it was great people like Vishwesvaraya who have visualized and planned the development of the country, especially developing the infrastructure. Let it be irrigation, let it be roads and constructions, let it be establishment of industries, whatever it is. It was such people who have laid foundation for development of modern India. And today, if we are reaping the benefits, if we are reaping the fruits of such development, in spite of multifold increase in population, today India became self-sufficient as far as food is concerned. India became self-sufficient in food processing and various other manufacturing industry. So whether it is manufacturing industry, processing industry, or consumer products industry, today we are all able to achieve that basically because of the hard work, the planning, and the vision of eminent engineers, among whom Sir Vishwesvaraya tops undoubtedly. And such a man's birth anniversary is being celebrated as Engineers Day, a very, very befitting tribute that we are paying to him. Coming to engineers within the country is concerned, you all know that undoubtedly uh, contribution of Indian engineers when it comes to knowledge production as in all other subjects and fields, we are not we are not on par with developed countries. We are also not on par with the developing countries like China or even Japan. When industrial revolution took place in the 19th century, and when expansion of industrial revolution took place in Europe, it was Europeans and other countries who developed scientific knowledge, leading to plenty of inventions and discoveries. But unfortunately, we remain still consumers of knowledge, but not producers of knowledge. Unless and until a country becomes a producer of knowledge, same applies to all the subjects also, whether it is humanities to which I belong, whether it is basic sciences, life sciences, physical sciences, whatever be a subject, unfortunately, Indian scientists, Indian teachers, and ultimately remain to be consumers of knowledge but not producers of knowledge. When it comes to production of theory, still we are at the receiving end, and from where there is still scope and room for development and self-reliant knowledge. On this score, we the teachers have a greater responsibility in thinking originally. Creation of knowledge does not require infrastructure and all that. Original thinking, creative thinking, problem solving approach. If we have these approaches, undoubtedly, we shall be able to become self-reliant as far as knowledge is concerned. From knowledge consumers to we have to become knowledge producers. And undoubtedly, I have been speaking very repeatedly. New education policy in the coming period, coming decades, has to lead to production of knowledge, and universities and research centers, both in the field of science and technology, have to become breeding centers of knowledge and innovation. I'm very sure that today's lectures, two lectures, very meticulously planned by Professor Mallareddy and his team on transportation engineering. Undoubtedly, the two eminent personalities who have volunteered to speak to our participants in the meeting will reap benefit. I once again call upon all the participants and faculty of my university to do their level best as far as innovative thinking is concerned, both for practicing by the teachers and imparting innovative thinking to student community. With these few words, I conclude without taking much time because we all are eager to listen to the resource persons. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for citing the contributions of Sir Mokshagunda Vishwesvaraya, how they were responsible for overall development of India in general and development of engineering, civil engineering in particular. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Dr. Hari K. Reddy to give his presentation.
Yeah. So on this very auspicious day for engineers, which we all celebrate in memory of the great Sir Mokshagunda Vishwesvaraya. Lots of things are spoken about him. Whatever we speak, our speakings will be muted in front of what he has achieved for the country. Before starting this focused lecture on transportation engineering, regards to all the seniors of the university and faculty for arranging this. And I guess like in the 64, probably lots of youngsters like obviously who are the beginning of are dreaming about a career. So the idea of this lecture is to introduce to them in transportation what is happening. So when I studied transportation for my major in at NIT Warangal and masters, so in the very first class, like basically there's one Professor Raghavachari, eminent personality in transportation engineering. So he said like basically transportation is an extension of common sense, and any person who has common sense like basically can contribute to the field of transportation engineering. I'm not exactly sure with the background of every participant here, but transportation engineering is one such subject which is truly multidisciplinary. As we go through the lecture, we will see like obviously it is as much electronics and modern computer science applications in transportation as much as like obviously engineering. So it's an amalgamation of all specialized of engineering, all specializations of sciences that one would see in basically each subsector of transportation engineering. So from a simple road building to like today we are getting to a situation where like basically most of us would have read in newspapers or would have seen in news channels like basically we are heading to driverless vehicles which navigate on these road space on their own and take us to the destinations. So it uses all fields of like basically engineering, as I said. So what I'll do is basically I'll start this presentation which I have structured largely to motivate these young engineers, particularly civil engineers. When I passed out, like basically lots of people used to ask us like what will you do? You've studied civil engineering, to honestly to say like basically we were clueless. And it was the time, and I guess it is even today, like for most of the students like this who are in 12th class, like basically you ask anyone like basically what do you want to do, the people who would want to take engineering would want to study computer science or maybe electronics and instrumentation. Tremendous amount of development that is happening in civil engineering, tremendous amount of work that can be that can be carried out in civil engineering. And civil engineering deals with all primary necessities of human evolution and a human being. If you start enumerating all the activities from the morning to evening, like basically with reference to each specialization, probably you will see like basically 70 or 80% of all the activities that we perform or that we do have asymptotically have a connection to civil engineering. So with that, brief intro, I'll start, this presentation. I hope like obviously everybody can, see my screen. So current status on development of, national highways in India. That's the broad topic, basically that I had selected, just to present like, what is happening, what will happen, and the scale and size of, the highway development that we are talking about. Not for the next, in the near term for the next few years, but probably in the next 2 to 3 decades. So the road building, when I say road building, the national highway building in India started with a massive and gigantic road building program called the National Highway Development Program. It was declared then by Honorable Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. When he was making this speech in FICCI auditorium, I was there with the plan to develop the Golden Quadrilateral, which was developing the roads or the national highways connecting Chennai to Bangalore, Bangalore to Mumbai, Mumbai to Delhi, Delhi to Calcutta, and then Calcutta back to Chennai. So that quadrilateral, when he declared, this was in sometime in 1997. I was in Central Road Research Institute, for certain activity. So with the head of the transportation department, I was fortunate to attend that conference in FICCI. Everybody, 99% of the people, including people from his own party, said like this is another grand announcement and nothing is going to happen. The plan was to build about 5,500 kilometers of a road to partial access controlled, completely divided carriageway. It was a dream then, but in a defined time frame that was completed. And since then till today, I think basically we constructed more than 50,000 kilometers of road network, and probably we have to construct another 100,000 kilometers of road network, including like basically equipping all this network with the latest gadgets, electronics to improve safety on Indian roads. As we speak, Indian roads are the second largest reason for deaths in India. All diseases and age put together, and after that, like basically the roads kill the highest number of people. So therefore, there is enormous amount of work that is yet to be done on improving the safety of our national highways. So I'll present a brief some statistics on NHDP and other programs which are underway now to present the scale and magnitude of highway construction that is taking place now, which should all these youngsters on the call should give enough motivation to pursue your careers in highway engineering if that interests you. We'll also go over what are the latest developments that we are bringing in into Indian road sector, and some latest developments in the maintenance of highways. Once we construct a road network, the next target, of course, is basically to ensure that basically a certain level of service is offered to the road users. So the screen presents basically the road development program that we have undertaken in the last 2 decades under the National Development Project, NHDP, and its subsequent wings. So as I said, basically it started with the development of Golden Quadrilateral connecting 4 large metros, Chennai, Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta. After the completion of that, another massive road development program called North, South, East, West. So if you see in the map, basically you see the yellow line, which is connecting these 4 metros, is the Golden Quadrilateral. Unsuccessful completion of this program, the 2 important corridors were taken up: North, South, and East, West. North, South, starting from Srinagar, going up to Kanyakumari, and Porbandar to Silchar, East, West corridor, which is shown on little dark brick color, the North, South corridor, and the greenish one on the East, West corridor. That is also complete now. Then we moved on to a 12,000 kilometers of road network with private sector participation. So where a private entity brings in funds, operates and maintains the network over a period of time, which is generally 20 to 25 years, which is called a concession period. During that time, a private player, for developing the project as well as operating and maintaining, he retains the toll collection, collects the toll and retains the toll collection, or in some concessions, government pays annuity, which is equivalent to the EMIs that we would pay when we purchased a house, taken a home loan or a car loan. Then there is another program, a massive program, which is standardization. More and more states, when I started my career in 1998, we had 40,000 kilometers of national highways. Today, this length has expanded to more than 150,000 kilometers of road network. Every year, central ministry is adding more and more kilometers. That's graduation of the major district roads and state highways into national highways, and they will first be standardized to national highway standards, and then later on taken to expansion in terms of capacity and the level of service. The phase 5 of NHDP started with the 6 laning. This is basically a hybrid concept, moving from a normal 4 laning divided carriageway to an expressway standard. Not exactly an expressway standard, but to the extent possible, to basically control the access. So this is a 6 lanes, 3 lanes in each side. So most of the Golden Quadrilateral is now taken up for under phase 5 6 laning. That program is again basically is complete. 6 and 7 are the ones basically is the future of transportation in this country. Most of the highways we would have seen, the moment we come into city, they lose their character. They become urban roads. They're subject to all kinds of urban congestion. The ministry is now working on basically building ring roads, building elevated corridors through these cities so that the traffic can move freely. That's under phase 7. And phase 6 is basically expressways, which are fully access controlled, where the road development will be truly multidisciplinary, where the engineers with computer science, with electronics, with civil engineering, with chemistry, all backgrounds have to work basically to create a sustainable infrastructure. Just touching base on expressways. A large number of expressways are already constructed. For someone from Delhi to Agra, if somebody wants to go to see Taj Mahal, earlier it used to take 5.5 to 6 hours in one direction. So people used to start around 4 o'clock in the morning and early morning and come back. After visiting Taj Mahal, basically come back to Delhi midnight, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock kind of a thing. Today, from Delhi to Agra, somebody can travel probably in about 2 hours. So there is an expressway connecting. So like that, there are a large number of expressways already constructed. The table on the left-hand side, I'll share this presentation, with the team. So therefore, basically you can go over, and if you have any questions, you can come back. So a large number of expressways shown in the first table are already constructed. A lot more are under construction. If you move to the next slide, basically there are many more which are proposed. While the current government plans to complete in the next 4 to 5 years, I think this takes basically the current construction program approximately, for the next 1 decade from now. So therefore, enormous amount of engineering input, engineering skill set, and also like basically the technical and non-technical workforce is required to complete these projects. Today, of all the in this gloomy time, like basically infrastructure is particularly civil infrastructure is one which is substantially providing employment to all the people like basically in these tough times. So we'll get to some latest developments. This gives like basically a little bit of like flair where we are heading to like basically. So it's as I said, the transportation or highway construction no longer is a pure civil engineering. There is an enormous amount of technology that is every day dumped into highways to ensure that road user gets everything that a road user is looking for, and every stakeholder gets the information in real time what he's looking at. Many of you would have seen like when you cross a toll plaza on a highway, like basically you get to your wallet and basically you pay cash. Today like basically we are moving to a cashless transaction kind of thing, a whole lot of cashless transaction schemes. That's what we are working on. So enormous amount of technology that is being used to ensure that basically the transactions at toll plazas become faster and faster, and you give that level of service to the road user. FASTag, which is basically an RFID based, the entire country moved from a cash-based to cashless transaction in December 2019. The idea is by December 2010, almost like 99 to 100% of all transactions at toll plaza be cashless. So there's a FASTag, which is RFID, that is almost there at every toll plaza today. In the future generation, what we're talking about is basically automatic number plate reader. So no vehicle should have a, whether a vehicle has a tag, it is working, it's not working, immaterial, like obviously, as a vehicle coming to a toll plaza, through artificial intelligence and deep learning, you identify that vehicle, identify the number plate, read the number plate, and then deduct money from the bank account. So therefore, all these arguments at the toll plaza, I have a tag, it worked, it did not work, all of that will be a history. The extension of this ANPR, automatic number plate reader, is basically a free flow tolling. So after some time, probably people will not even know where the toll plaza is. You're traveling on the road, you'll get an SMS or you get a bank statement, an alert from your bank that obviously a certain amount is deducted because you traveled on so and so road. So this is all basically an application of electronics and computer science. We are moving thick and thin into intelligent transportation system. So intelligent transportation system, today we are aiming to identify like basically in a traffic stream, if somebody is sleepy, somebody is fatigued, can we identify, okay, this person is actually sleepy? Or can we identify without a breath analyzer, can we identify whether this guy is basically is drunk, right? So the technology is moving to that scale. So you put a camera, and the cameras, a series of cameras are actually tracking the vehicle, like basically how many times a person is changing lanes, whether somebody is able to travel in a straight line or like basically he's moving in zigzag or a caterpillar movement, and then identify he's a potential threat. So therefore, the people who are not very equipped with the driving, people are under the influence of alcohol or like basically rash driving, somebody is coming in wrong direction. So all these intelligent applications are like basically are being deployed or like at various stages of deployment. I'm very happy to state like basically these are future generation technologies, and a lot of these are actually created and structured by Indian software professionals and in sync with Indian engineers. Recently I was talking to we are in partner as a Cube Highways, we are in partnership with the government of Japan to bring funds into the country. I was talking to Nexco East, which is a government of Japan organization which is responsible for maintenance and operations of expressways. So they came up with, they introduced to us a machine which automatically identifies a lot of distress on Indian roads. When they presented, like, no, okay, you give this machine to us, we can do 20 more things with the same data. And we know Japanese are like a picture perfect when it comes to anything what they do. So the senior most person from Nexco has to say, we are ashamed, like we are using this technology for the last 15 years. We did not get these ideas, like obviously what you guys told us. In fact, I took a delegation of young engineers from Cube Highways to Japan to show them like obviously how their technology is, and we could actually introduce to them so many concepts from science, pure sciences, like obviously what they can do. So by no stretch of imagination, in terms of intellect, in terms of the capability, in terms of the opportunities, like basically our country is lacking behind. And all that it is required is basically motivate these young engineers to ensure, as every speaker, including Purushottam Garu, said, basically what is, and the Srinivas Garu, basically what lies in front of us as engineers. A lot lies in front of us as engineers, and there is a huge amount of opportunity. As we speak at CUBE itself, basically I have 5,000 people reporting to me, and people say, basically, where are jobs in civil engineering? I think basically we are looking to rewrite the discourse of basically the civil engineers future definitely in this country. So under intelligent transport system, there are lots of applications I've listed in the presentation. I don't think we'll have time enough to go through all of them. For the benefit of young engineers who are there, I can come on a call again. We can have an extended discussion on some of these topics. And we're also working on latest materials and latest paving methods, latest investigation technologies. Some of them we have created. One such material which we used in India is for the first time ever in the world. In fact, for CUBE Highways, last year Ministry has given a gold award actually. This was a special purpose paving material created for a port connectivity project in New Zealand by a research firm in US. When we were searching for say in India, typically the trucks carry heavy, super heavy loads. A truck which is supposed to carry 20 tons carries 40 tons, and therefore it spoils the road. So therefore we need special materials. Anything that works abroad doesn't work in India. Our driver behavior is very different. So therefore, basically anything that works outside in terms of the traffic flow, in terms of engineering materials, it requires tremendous amount of basically penetration to input our parameters. So we brought this material, it works fantastic. So just to so we'll quickly go over. I unfortunately I have a meeting with the secretary, so I have to rush. So as I said, out of 7 methods at a toll plaza, we always used to pay cash. So we have smart cards today. We have UPI. This is a unified payment interfaces through mobile wallets. A person can pay through Aadhaar Pay, can pay through cards, credit as well as debit. Then there are FASTags, and there are number plates. So this is some architecture. Basically, I'll circulate this. Later on we can a vehicle comes, it automatically identifies the vehicle, deducts money, and you can go away. Just to present a few snapshots in terms of what all engineers of all specializations put together, basically the intelligent transport system, basically bring all the information that is there on a road to a centralized place called a control center, all the data, process, create information, and send it to all stakeholders. For example, basically there is an accident on the road. If somebody travels to North India, December, January, there's a lot of fog, there's a breakdown vehicle, visibility goes down, civilians understand your stopping side distances are not available. So therefore somebody comes at a speed and bumps into that, and then somebody comes and bumps into that. Last time on the expressway that I mentioned between Delhi and Agra, there were 80 vehicles piled up in one accident. So therefore, how do you send this information in real time to road user that there is an accident ahead? So therefore, basically, there is enormous amount of technology that is being used through sensors, through cameras, and then through today mobiles are there. Basically, okay, you create a channel where somebody can send the information that okay, there's an accident. It goes to the information center, which is a control room, and comes to the field, and basically then the decisions are given to the road users or all the stakeholders to react to. So this is one of the control centers. How beautiful it looks basically all kinds of engineering you can see on that basically, right? So this control center, on the right hand side, if you see basically it's not very clearly visible though. This is at Nexco in Japan. We're trying to build this in India, a few of them. So all the civil engineering related issues are on the screens on the right hand side through artificial intelligence. There is a pothole on the road. Nobody need to go and inspect. There is a pothole basically, right? On the cameras, the cameras that are installed on the highways and on the cameras on route patrol vehicles, automatically the artificial intelligence engine says there's not even a pothole, but there is a potentially this area may become a pothole, right? So therefore, you are able to spot and address it much before you actually find a pothole on the road. So you have all the middle screens present traffic situation. There's a congestion, there's accidents, there's a breakdown, there's somebody unauthorized parking, somebody's coming in wrong direction. Everything is in real time, basically, and all of this is not a fiction or not a story, but this is all is going to be installed, or it is being installed on Indian national highways. So speaking, moving further on intelligent transport system, VIDS is a vehicle, video-based incident detection systems. So these, you can see on the top picture, somebody, couple of two-wheelers are moving in wrong direction. You don't need a police to tell, okay, a couple of people here are coming in wrong direction. A camera spots automatically, and since it's a control room, a camera again picks up the number plate automatically, and you can send a challan to, the vehicle owner to their house. There is a site in India now called Vahan. Basically every vehicle is registered, and if your vehicle address is not found in Vahan database, basically then your vehicle will not be allowed to travel. So therefore there's a lot of things that are happening on VIDS. Some examples what all incident detection systems can do. I've provided, so I'll circulate this. People interested can go through. So we'll get to quickly, to the, on the maintenance, what we are doing. Basically, typically in India, till few years back, till about 5 years back, basically somebody has to inspect the road and see, okay, this is the problem, and therefore this is to be done. Again, we are moving to completely instrument based. The idea is basically, civil engineers will understand this better. The top right curve, if you see, the red one is basically how a pavement actually or a road surface fails. It's like a cancer actually. So it progresses exponentially with age. So therefore, initially for many months or many years, if it is well looked after, basically it has a very good life and asks for a very little intervention in terms of maintenance. But if it is not taken care of, quickly, basically goes to a stage where people know, basically, okay, there is a lot of raveling, pothole, and so therefore, completely that road got to be reconstructed. What a waste of resources and all. So with all these latest technologies, basically we are able to basically track this curve in real time, and then basically come up with frequent interventions at various stages so that you enhance the life of the pavement. So when I studied basically at a government junior college in Hanamkonda, there used to be a big hill actually there, right next to this government junior college where I did my 11th and 12th class. We used to call intermediate at that time. Recently, I was just going from there. That hill vanished. The hill is not there. And then similarly, I see so many hills they're not there. Where are they? They're all basically people crush those mountains to create aggregates and construct roads. After 5 years or 3 years, it goes bad. Again, you crush mountain, you put it right. So therefore, tremendous amount of technology penetration to conserve these resources. So you take care of this road, timely interventions, so that basically you reduce the pressure on these resources, and then we are getting into recycling. So there's so many technologies I presented later. How you can actually conserve these resources. All of this is basically being practiced, on Indian roads. This is not basically something we picked up from what others do. So basically, to state basically the quality of engineering today is almost at par. Basically in terms of planning, probably we are a little bit lacking. We will catch up very soon, but basically we are at par with the international industry. So there's something which we deployed at Cube. This is called Road Aid. Through these, basically, this is a mobile application. Anybody can report anything. There is a signboard missing, there is a pothole, there is a rutting, there is a raveling on the road, there is a waterlogging, there is a signal not working. A person can pick up, whoever has can pick up. You can see on the picture whatever is reported, it comes, and a maintenance engineer or operations person can just go and basically repair and replace that, right? So therefore, it is real time. These are some of the investigations basically that we started using on Indian roads. If you see the bottom two pictures, these two vehicles, again basically a lot of artificial intelligence and science driven non-destructive testing methods to estimate the condition of the road and life of the road without actually getting into basically destroying. Say what we used to earlier do is basically on the left hand side, you dig it and see what is the condition, or you cut the pavement and see what is the condition. Now you can actually predict that condition without actually getting into some of these dismantling. These are called non-destructive testing methods. The bottom vehicle, which is created by Australian Road Research Board. We are planning to get one into this country. When it is traveling at 110, 120 kilometers per hour, it can actually profile the entire road, including if there is a hairline crack of 1 mm width, basically through deep learning, basically it say, okay, there is a crack here. What you do if there is a crack, you just go and pour some emulsion, so that prevents formation of a pothole. So therefore, basically the moment it's a pothole, you have to get aggregates, you have to heat it, you have to do many things. So therefore, it saves all that effort as well as the cost. So the picture on the bottom, basically shows, basically you run this vehicle, how all those cracks are beautifully, mapped for an engineer to take informed decisions. So in civil engineering, if you see, we are now using enormous amount of artificial intelligence, artificial neural networks to identify all the issues in traffic flow and all the issues on the road. We have used and we are using genetic algorithms, like basically to predict the bottom layers, characteristics without actually digging the layers. So we are using fuzzy logic. We are building algorithms actually to automatically, if this is a condition, what should be the treatment, right? So therefore, a Boolean logic doesn't work because you need a very large number of rules. So therefore, we're moving to expert systems and fuzzy logic to automatically to create the maintenance budgets and maintenance intervention processes. So it's contrary to the government hypothesis. Like we should create work. Of course, this technology is destructive. It's going to take away a lot of jobs. That's for sure. But of course, it will create many more things that we can do. So there is a nice video. Basically, let me check. My time. Because yeah, I'm already. I have to leave. So this is something which we as we speak basically which we created in this country here basically if you see every time a vehicle goes basically it counts and classifies and presents, and this is actually to state basically built by me and my son basically this is an opportunity COVID gave. So my son is basically a computer science graduate. So he was at home. So I said, basically, what will you do in these 2 months? Basically, I said, basically, why don't you develop this? So a truck goes, it's a 3-axle truck. So it's in lane 1. So on the right-hand side, if you see the box here, this is a dream for a pavement engineer, this data actually. So in a lane 1, at 9 o'clock, 19 seconds, a 3-axle truck went, and it has an axle configuration of 1, 2. So front axle 1 and a tandem axle in the back. So every time a vehicle goes, basically, it's printing this. And there's absolutely no intervention here. Basically, the whole highway industry, not only here, but, across the world suffered because we did not have data. So for the first time, basically through these applications of artificial intelligence, we are able to, create this data. And as I said, basically this whole AI engine is created by the people at Techniche, which TRD represents. He's going to speak next on structures, of course, cube highways, and basically, our own thought process. So there are there's some more slides I will share. I don't think we have time to go, but for all the young engineers, or the youngsters who are there on this call, so you need basically to know what is for you as a civil engineer. You don't have to basically get into a software company and write code. An Infosys or if you're a civil engineer, you don't have to join a Wipro or a TCS and write a code completely unrelated to engineering. There is a huge amount of engineering, that's happening. And this sector continues to provide, enormous amount of opportunity for you to express your mind in terms of your intellect and your ability. So I think with that, I'll conclude my my presentation, and I thank Kakati University and Professor Mallareddy and the other civil engineering faculty for giving me this opportunity. So if I have time, I would have spoken many more things, but this is not the end, so I can come back and basically have a very focused discussions for students, whenever you wish to or you would want. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hari. Dr. Hari has presented latest developments and states of transportation engineering in India and how it is moving towards interdisciplinary research area. I really thank you very much, Dr. Hari. Now I request TRC Reddy to present his contents. Now I request TRC Reddy.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Dr. Hari has got a meeting in the Ministry of Transportation, so he has to leave.
Otherwise, I will be online. I'll be online. I'll be hearing. I'll keep myself because I'll be in a vehicle, so it might disturb. So I'll be on mute.
Yeah.
So I'll be there for the rest of.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hari.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all respected Registrar Garu, Sri K. Purushottam, and Dean Faculty of Engineering, Sri T. Srinivasalu Garu, and Professor P. Mallareddy Garu, and other faculty members of the university, and students of the Engineering College. A brief talk I would like to give on the highway structures. It is a very basic thing. So for the benefit of the young graduate engineers, I will present my screen. Yeah, can you see the screen? Yeah. Yeah. So I have prepared a presentation which gives the very basic idea of highway structures. What are the, how many kinds of structures are there? What are the various components in the highway structures? So the highway structure, first of all, the highway structure, it can be a bridge, it can be a culvert, or it can be an underpass. The classification will be, then I think I explained in the subsequent slides. So first of all, a bridge. Bridge is a linking between two pieces of highway to overcome a obstacle. It can be a river, or a other village road, or a main distributory road, or a railway line, or in a valley. Then based on the functionality, the classification will be given. So as per the IRC code, IRC 5, structures are classified, highway structures are classified into two broad categories, culverts and bridges, based on their total length. So if the total length is less than 6 meters, it is called culvert. If the length is more than 6 meters, it is called bridge. Again, the bridge can be a minor bridge, major, long span bridges, depending on the total length of the bridge, not the span, total length. In the culverts, there are 4 types broadly, which are being used in our highways across India: pipe culvert, and arch culvert, box culvert, and a slab culvert. Yeah, pipe culvert, it can be HDB for larger diameters in abroad, and it can be mostly in India. It is few pipes, single pipe or a row of number of pipes joined together by collar, or is a well-female joint. And the arch culvert, if the total length or span is only less than 6 meters, it will be called arch culvert. Then they just illustrated photos for how it looks a slab culvert and box culvert. Slab culvert, it differs from box culvert. It is, the top slab is not monolithic with the abutment walls, side walls. It is simply supported on the side walls. It's called slab culvert. Our old structures are mostly slab culverts, whereas now for the economy, the current day concessionaires and the EPC contractors are going with box culverts. So the bridges, mostly the bridges broadly classified on the material, based on the material which is being used in the bridge also. It can be a timber bridge, but we are mostly timber bridges we use for a temporary condition. And masonry bridges, RCC bridges, steel bridges, pre-stressed concrete bridges, and steel and concrete composite bridges are there. The masonry bridges, even today, there are several masonry bridges. It's like a composite. Superstructure, substructure foundation is masonry, and superstructure is a solid slab. Such kind of structures are there across India in several thousands of structures. Then RCC bridges, as usual, which is being a predominant category in Indian roads. And steel bridges, again, the choice depends on the span and the availability of the material and the time span for the construction. And the pre-stressed concrete bridges, if the span is more than 25 meters, most of the concession is, and EPC contractors are resorting to pre-stressed concrete high-girder bridges. And steel and concrete composite bridges. For railways, recently they have prescribed mandatory that obligatory span, that means the span crossing the railway line in ROBs, it should be invariably steel girders placed below composite deck slab. So these steel and concrete composite bridges widely used we are using for railway bridges. ROBs particularly. This is a typical example of a timber bridge and a masonry bridge. Then the RCC bridge on the left side of the slide, how it looks is a column type piers and girders, deck slab, and the steel bridge. The pre-structure, it looks similar to RCC bridge. Only thing is, if the span of the bridge is more due to the requirement, then the depth of girders will be considerably high, which results in rise in the embankment height and a reduction in the clear height available for the water flow or the headroom for the vehicles. So we will resort to the pre-stressed concrete girders. Then the steel composite we use for the long spans and lightweight, so that particularly like in valleys in Jammu region, they mostly use steel composite structure so that the lightweight can handle lifting is very easy for such a large heights. Then the classification structures are also classified based on the functionality. If the bridge is constructed to cross the road, to cross a river by the road, it is called a river bridge. Again, it can be major, minor, large span bridge. It depends upon the total length and span. Then the main, then underpass. It can be vehicle underpass, predominantly which is being used for the vehicles, and pedestrian underpass, cattle or wildlife underpasses. We have constructed in Orissa some elephant underpass also. In Rajasthan, we constructed camel underpasses. So that's why so authorities insist to construct a wildlife underpass in the forest zone or wherever the data is there about the crossing of the road by the wildlife. Vehicle underpasses generally is 5.5 meters height, headroom will be there to pass all kind of vehicles. And pedestrian underpass is now 4 meters, so giving cattle also 3 meters. And wildlife underpasses, if it is for elephants in Orissa, it is around 6.5 meters we provided. And the cattle underpasses mostly 4 meters, and camel underpass also 5 meters were provided. When the vehicle overpass, suppose the crossroad is going above the project road, that is called vehicle underpass. That means our project road, our main road is going at grade level, at the ground level, or a little bit above the ground level. Then the village road crossing the village road, district road, or other highway crossing our road will cross above our road, that is called a vehicle overpass, and foot over bridges. It's similar to vehicle overpass, but the function is for the pedestrians to cross the highway from one side to another side. The viaduct, it is similar to flyover only, but to cross a valley. At some locations, there will not be any stream or there will not be any road to cross, but it is a huge valley is there, like a 70 meters, 80 meters, 90 meters valley is there. and our highway profile can't be lowered suddenly. So in that scenarios, we construct a viaduct like a bridge only with tall piers and the superstructure. So this is called viaduct. Flyover. In the flyover, the difference between underpass and flyover is underpass slightly crossroad level will be depressed. There is a flyover, a project road will go above the at-grade road, crossing a road perpendicular to our traffic. Then the entire flyover will not be with a bridge. Main obligatory spans will be constructed, like 2 or 3 spans based on the requirement for U-turning and the main road crossing. And the remaining portion will be approach embankments, because of the shortage of road width. If you provide natural slopes for the high embankments, the ROW, that means the road width will be, land width will be available, and required land width will be more than the current 60 meters which is being acquired now. So we retain the soil by virtue of mechanically stabilized walls. That is called reinforced earth walls, in other words. Approaches. So earlier we used to construct RCC retaining walls, masonry retaining walls to save the cost and time. And now we are going with mechanically stabilized walls, MSP, are popularly known as RE walls, reinforced earth walls, in which RCC fascia panels will be, or concrete blocks will be provided, tied with geogrid extended into the embankment, which gives the anchorage to the soil mass. Then, based on the functionality, the another classification is ROBs. That is, if the road crossing the railroad above, there is above the rail, that's called ROB. So you may have seen at many locations guarded level crossings or unguarded level crossings are being replaced now with grade separators called ROBs or RUBs, based depending upon the location which is feasible. This will be selected. ROB means the highway will go under the rail track. That's called ROB. A few examples, a few photographs of, say, river bridge on the left side slide, left side photograph, and the right side is the underpass. Is a 2-cell underpass for a bidirectional traffic. Then the overpass, the project road is going down and the cross road is going above the project road. It's the overpass. Then the pedestrian underbridge with a steel truss bridge. For pedestrian bridges, mostly we choose steel truss bridges because of its simplicity and easy to erect without closing the live traffic, except blocking the traffic for a few hours in the night time. And see, then the viaduct, you can see to cross a huge valley. It is there, I think, in Gujarat. I think we have done a due diligence for this project. So this to cross a huge valley, a long viaduct is proposed. Then it's a flyover in urban areas where the busy junction is to be crossed by the high traffic road. A flyover is constructed either for unidirectional or bidirectional. Then the ROB, and the left side photo is the ROB, road over rail bridge. Then this right side is RUB. Above is the rail passing, rail track is passing in the top, and road is going down. Then the classification, the final classification based on design philosophy. Whether it is a simple span bridge or whether it is a continuous bridge, it's an integral bridge, arch bridges, suspension bridges, cable stayed bridges, extra dorsal balanced cantilever. The simple span bridges are widely used in our highway construction because of its simplicity in construction and design and implementation. It is like the construction of two piers or abutments and placing on it superstructure of slab type or a gutter and slab type or wide slab, anything. And continuous bridges are, the simple span bridge you see on the left side, which is resting on bearings for horizontal movements and rotation. Then on right side is a continuous bridge. It is monolithic with the pier cap in the intermediate piers. So the continuation can be 3 spans or 4 spans. It depends based on the design concept. The expansion joint will be after 3 or 4 spans. The location of expansion joint again is chosen based on the location, because if it is a high seismic zone, if we provide expansion joints after 4 or 5 spans, then the fixed pier will be subjected to enormous seismic forces, and this foundation will be expensive. Sometimes we have to use deeper piles. Then integral bridge on the left side photo, if you can see, integral bridge is nothing but deck slab is monolithic structurally with the abutment walls. It's like a box culvert, it's a big one. It is an integral bridge. Integral bridge, earlier our designers were reluctant to provide this just because of it is an indeterminate structure. Manual calculations might have been done before 1970. Now, because of commercial softwares available for the structural design, it's not an issue to design any indeterminate structure also. And the technology is available, international reference books are available. So now we have resorted in India also many 30-meter, 40-meter span integral bridges also. Then arch bridges, deck slab can be supported on an arch. So there's an arch bridge. These are all for design philosophy. That means how the load of the live loads is being transferred to supports and then ultimately to the ground. That predominantly determines its type. So with the arch action, the loads are being transferred to abutments and ultimately to the soil strata and ground. In the integral bridge, the advantages are we can avoid expansion joints and no bearings, so there will not be any frequent maintenance. Say the bearings are there once in 5 to 10 years. If it is a elastomeric bearing, we may have to replace it every 6 to 10 years. If it is a pot bearings, every 20 years or 25 years, we have to replace it. If it is an integral bridge, maintenance is less. So, then again on the integral bridge, also if it is a smaller span like a box culvert, the two foundations of the portal frame are joining, then we can provide like a box culvert, like a total raft foundation at the bottom. Then suspension bridge to travel to cross large streams with the so we generally go for suspension bridges. They're expensive, probably 3 times for the conventional bridge. So currently in India, most of the highway projects are being undertaken either by EPC mode, engineering, procurement, construction mode, in which case contractor is responsible for his expenses on the construction, or is a BOT, build, operate, transfer, in which case, again, the NHI or Government of India will not reimburse the cost of structures. He has to collect from the toll for next 20 or 30 years. So what they are doing basically is, they are not going for specialized structures or iconic structures. They are going with the normal I girder, T girder, and the deck slab, or PSA precast Priestus girders and deck slab bridges. Most of the contractors are going with this kind of things. Unless government come forward to finance it, then our government stipulate it in the terms of reference so that the contractor has to construct iconic bridge for this river. Most of the concessionaires or contractors, they are going with the conventional type of simple structures. That is the reason we could not find many suspension or cable stayed bridges in India. Again, cable stayed bridge is another large span, long spans feasible structure. The extra dorsal bridge is almost similar to cable stayed, except the pylon height will be less in this case. And the balanced cantilever structure, in which case a balanced cantilever is constructed on either side of the pier with a simple joint in the midspan. So the next item of highway structures is what are the components of any bridge in the highway construction? There are basically it's foundations, substructure. Above the foundations, below the superstructure is called the substructure, and the bearings, it is the interface between substructure and superstructure. And superstructure, this is the one comes on the top of the substructure and supports the all kinds of live loads. And crash barrier or guardrail, it is a vehicle or pedestrian restraining system, protective system placed on the top of the deck slab. And expansion joint, if we go for a simple span bridges, on each pier top, there will be an expansion joint which allows expansion or contraction. The required expansion or contraction will be decided based on the length of the bridge and the geographical location of the structure to take into account the temperature, highest temperature and lowest temperature, and the drainage spouts, wearing cord on the top of the deck slab, and the lighting poles in case of larger structures. So all these 8 kind of components, broadly, whatever most of the bridge types will have these components, except for a cable stayed and extra dorsal bridges, in which case cables will be there, suspension cables will be there. For another normal kind of structures, these are the bridge components. So if we consider about the bridge foundations, again can be classified broadly into 4 types, which are being widely used in India and elsewhere. Spread footing, when the bearing capacity, it is a type of spread footing and raft foundations are shallow foundations. If the soil strata, subsoil strata is good, or it is adequate to give the sufficient bearing capacity for the design of our bridge, then we go for open foundation with isolated footing, maybe a rectangular one or square, depending upon the shape of pier or abutment. Then the raft foundation, if the bearing capacity is less, or if the foundations are being merged due to its proximity, we will go for a raft foundation. And fine foundation is a deep foundation. Wherever cover depth is more, like in major rivers, we go for pile foundations. Cave depth is more, or wherever soft soils are there. Isolated footing is not possible within a reasonable depth of 4 to 5 meters. Excavating of 6 meters or 7 meters is not a viable solution, collapsing of sides, and again a deeper, then the depth of foundation will be more. So if the suitable soils are not available within 4 to 5 meters maximum, the practicing engineers across India are resorting to either pile foundations or well foundations. Pile foundations consist of two components, piles and pile capable. Well foundations, currently because of its difficulty in construction in the high water table zones and long time taking, and its precision is required, and the labor has to go in a highly unsafe condition. Sometimes they have to go down. In view of that, if the current concessionaires and contractors are not being in the habit of using well foundations, because earlier the reason is big diameter rigs were not there. Now up to 2.5 diameter rigs are widely available across India with the contractors, 2.5 meter diameter. So larger diameter piles are being implemented in India. So for most of the major rivers also, we are going with pile foundations. Most of the rivers, I can say. Is illustrative photos for some of the foundation types. See the open foundation, where we do the open excavation, then we provide a spread footing. Based on the bearing capacity and the loading, we will design it. Then the pile foundation. Again, pile can be a friction pile, load bearing or combination. End bearing, friction pile or end bearing. If the if the geo load bearing capacity is obtained by end bearing of the piles, mostly they are called as end bearing piles, which will be like we use in hard strata soils at the bottom, and rocky is available in a suitable depth. Then the well foundation is the extreme right corner photo is the well foundation. A typical well foundation looks like that. It can be a oval shape with a double D, or it can be a circular shape. Then the bridge substructure, a brief explanation about the bridge substructure is, substructure means it can be abutment or pier. The end supports of the structure are called abutments. If it is abutment to abutment or wall type abutment, in which case a retaining abutment, in which case approach embankment soil is being retained by abutment, in which case abutment will be designed for earth pressure as well as forces coming from superstructure. Then the pier is the intermediate support for multiple span bridges is called pier. So the bridge can have many spans, not a single span. If it is a single span, on either side it will be supported by abutments. If it is two or more spans, then intermediate support is called a pier. It can be a circular column type pier or a hammerhead pier or a wall type pier, in which case the wall width almost near to the bridge deck width, and a portal pier, in which case multiple columns will be tied together with a pier cap and monolithic with the superstructure. Then the abutment or pier cap, apart from the substructure, apart from abutment and piers, on the top there is a flaring shape is there, that is called an abutment the cap, so that it can support the adjacent spans So the pier head is widened to receive the bearings of adjacent spans. So that's called a pier cap. This is a spill-through abutment, in which case abutment is not retaining the highway embankment soil. It is highway embankment soil is provided by virtue of natural slope. Then the one-type abutment, in which case return walls are also provided on the right side photograph. To return walls and abutment together will retain the soil of the approach embankment. Some of the sketches illustrating the solid wall pier, the A, this is the hammerhead pier it looks, and rigid frame pier. And the next component of bridges is bridge bearings. There are multiple types of bearings are being in use in India, depending upon the span of the structure. Tar paper neoprene sheet bearings are being used for solid slab bridges up to 10 meters, where the movement of deck slab will be significantly small, like in the range of maximum 10 to 20 mm, 10 mm or 5 mm. The timber bearings mostly we use now in the temporary as a supports until we put the full deck slab, and metallic bearings. Metallic bearings is shown in the illustrative photographs. Then the elastomeric bearings it's like elastomeric pad is manufactured multiple layers of elastomer and steel sheets sandwiched in between elastomeric layers. Then the pot cum PTFE bearings, roller and rocker bearings, spherical and cylindrical bearings, pin and metallic blade bearings. These are all bearings is an interface between the substructure and superstructure to transmit the vertical loads at free ends and horizontal forces, and to allow the rotation and the support. Superstructure can be a solid slab, widened slab, a T-beam and slab, box girder, segmental steel truss. A solid slab is a very simple structure, a normal building slab like resting on two abutments or two walls. It can be RCC walls or it can be masonry walls. In some old structures, we saw even in Gujarat and Rajasthan, here also in old structures, brick masonry piers are there and abutments are there to support the solid slabs. Then widened slab, to save the unnecessary material in the tension zone. At some locations, we propose wide slab. Its soffit looks very clean and beautiful. Then voids will be created by virtue of this GA big pipes, diameter of 1 meter, 900 mm, 600 and 1.2 meter diameter. So then a T-beam and slab, the T-beam can be a RCC beam, precast RCC beam or cast in situ. Precast means there will be a casting yard to save the time while during the construction of foundations and substructure. The precast beams will be casted on a casting yard and can be transported to structure location by trailers, and deck slab will be casted, so that a lot of time can be saved in the total construction time. Then box girder. Suppose if the T girder, mostly we go up to maximum 40 meters. Then if it is the larger span, say around 50, 60, 70, we can go for a in situ concrete box girders, post-tension box girders. Then segmental, if the span is more, 75, 100, 150 something, or even the spans are less, but like a metro rail, Hyderabad, something, the repetitive spans are there. Several tens of spans, hundreds of spans, then we go for a segmental, because segments will be constructed with the numbering elsewhere in the yard and can be transported to site. And so time can be saved, and also obstruction will not be there for the vehicle movement on the existing roads. Then the steel trusses, another type of superstructure. So steel truss supporting a deck slab. A typical illustrative photographs of some of the solid slab bridges. Solid slab bridge on the left side is RCC pier. There are in the pier round shape is called the cutwater. The shape, the pier round shape is provided in order to allow smooth flow and reduce the force coefficient onto the pier. Then this is a wide slab. You can see on the right side photograph is the wide slab. Wides are created with the permanent steel pipes to create the wides. This is not. This is again RC post-tensioned wide slab. This one. Then the segmental, in which case a 2.5 to 3 meter segments will be joined together with the pre-stressing to form the 30 to 40 meter or 50 meter span. Anything span can go. Then the steel truss is the right side photograph. These are some of the construction activities as a guidance to our young graduate engineers. So earthwork excavation with a excavator is in progress. There is the laying of PCC. Then the placement of reinforcement for open foundation. So reinforcement case is made on the ground with the bottom steel and top steel and the spacer bars and vertical links. And the placement of reinforcement for a substructure like a pier on the right side photograph. Concreting with a boom placer. So nowadays, most of our highway works are being executed with pumping only, pumping concrete with ready mixed concrete, being transported to site in transit millers, and using a boom placer, concrete is being placed for all the bridge components. The concreting for a substructure, you can see any bracket or cantilever projection, rather than putting the scaffolding and shuttering supporting from the ground, they support with the temporary brackets fixed to the already casted pier or abutment wall. There is launching of girders. This is the process they carry out at the site. Then the completion of the superstructure. Girders are all erected on the abutment walls. Yes, I think I have done with my presentation basically on the highway structures. Yeah. Thank you for the faculty for giving me this opportunity. Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you, sir. There was a. Yeah. Thank you for giving, for presenting. Sir?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Sir, thank you very much for your presentation. A very nice presentation. Sorry, here we have a power cut, so it's something is disturbed here. Okay, we came out and.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Bye. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I request Mr. Shiv Prasad to propose vote of thanks.
Honorable Chief Guest, Professor K. Purushottam Garu, Registrar Kakatiya University, and the President of this program, Professor P. Mallareddy Garu, Principal of Kakatiya University College of Engineering and Technology, and Guest of Honor, Professor T. Srinivasul Garu, Principal of Women's College of Engineering and Technology, Warangal. Coordinator of this program, V. Mahendra Garu, and dear participants, very good evening to all. I am N. Satyashiva Prasad, Faculty of Civil Engineering Department, Kakatiya University College of Engineering and Technology from Kakatiya University, Warangal. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks on behalf of organizing this program. Of this program, Professor K. Purushottam Garu, Registrar of Kakatiya University, Professor P. Mallareddy Garu, and Professor T. Srinivasalu for the great encouragement and motivational message. We are extremely thankful to the entire team of spoken tutorials of Dr. L.P. Rajkumar Garu and Hari K. Reddy Garu for their tremendous support and guidance in organizing of this program. I thank you all of the participants for their interest towards this program and making this program is successfully. Thank you, one and all.